The rain had been falling all evening, thick and cold, soaking through the seams of my jacket by the time I made it to the bus stop. My shoes were heavy and my socks damp. I could hear the water squishing every time I took a step, and that stupid sound seemed louder tonight, as if mocking me. In one hand, I was still clutching the folder that held my dream, what Dad called my child's fantasy, what my sister derided as an obsession. Recipes, sketches of plating, a portfolio of a life I imagined but no one believed was possible for someone like me. The gallery had sent me away with damp sympathy. "We do visual arts here, Maya," the woman had said, tilting her head, looking at my hand-inked menu mock-ups and photographs of my makeshift dishes, as if they were a child's pottery and macaroni creations. "Have you thought about culinary school? This isn't really what we do." I thanked her, barely able to keep my voice even, and turned out into the rain. Home was a one-bedroom in East LA, rented for cash from the uncle of a kid I'd gone to school with. The heater rattled and groaned when I turned it on. I sat cross-legged on the floor, folder on my lap, listening to the rain hissing against the sill. Mom called. I let it go to voicemail. I warmed a bowl of ramen, then left it on the counter, appetite gone. The house smelled of old toast and rain, the wet streetlights casting faint yellow halos on the ceiling. They'd always laughed when I talked about opening a restaurant. "Not a taco joint," Dad said. "Everyone does tacos." "Maybe open a dry cleaner," he'd joke at dinner. My family ran cleaners up and down Pico. Ambition, my uncle called me on holidays, meaning it as a kind of warning. Do something safer, something you know. The world won't change for Maya. My phone buzzed again. This time a group chat. I threw the phone face down on my bed. My chest ached as if my ribs were bending outward. I let myself lie there a while. The rain steady outside, the soup getting cold. The next morning, the city was all gleam and washed sidewalk, the sky already clear. My shift at the bread bakery downtown started at 6, but I got there early, scrubbing the counters under harsh fluorescent lights. The head baker, Lourdes, let me practice knives when she wasn't watching. Quiet encouragement. Never spoken. The best compliment she ever gave was handing me a crust to taste, eyes expectant. The bread here rose different under her watch. One Wednesday, I overheard Lourdes on the phone, switching between rapid Spanish and slower English. Her cousin's restaurant in Koreatown was short-staffed. She looked at me, raised an eyebrow. "You can cook fast?" I nodded. That night, I borrowed the bakery's apron and made my way through the bright neon maze to Jay's place, a cluttered corner kitchen with gleaming metal counters and burners like jet engines. I worked the fryers, learned the rhythm of shouts and clatter, the way cooks moved past each other like dancers. Everything choreography and sweat and knives. I took on long prep nights and early bread shifts. The money patched together just enough to keep me afloat. I lived for moments at the line when a dish went out perfect, for the sound of laughter from a table when someone bit into something I'd helped plate. Still, I was invisible to most, just another pair of hands, another small ambition. Family noticed the hours, not the work. "You must be tired, Maya," my mother sighed, seeing me drag myself to a family birthday. My sister warned, "Maybe it's time you thought about a serious career, teaching or accounting." All this, one day, you'll need to settle down. No one asked what I wanted to create or why, but I kept scribbling notes. Cilantro top note, too harsh. Balance with lime. Mulberry and chili in adobo for sweetness, smoke. I started reading French technique in the bathroom at night, my phone's blue light stinging tired eyes. My hands toughened, fingers bandaged, but every ache felt like a private badge of proof. There were months when rent went late. Once, my power was shut off for 2 days. I stored a sack of unused flour under my bed. It drew ants, which I killed with vinegar. More than once I woke to nightmares of my carefully saved notebooks burning or swept away in the next rain. But each morning I got up and went to work. The year I turned 29, Koreatown's little food scene started to shift. Influencers discovered Jay's fusion kimchi quesadillas, and a local magazine sent a reporter. Suddenly, dinner services overflowed. Jay let me experiment with menu specials if I finished prep on time. One week I made street corn arancini. Another I tried a mole braised brisket sandwich. Plates went out. Some came back scraped bare. Some sent with a scowl and a polite, "Too weird." I didn't care about the failures as much as the tiny flash of applause when it landed right. I started saving every tip, putting away quarters in a jar. My portfolio, that old rainy night folder, grew thicker with each risk. The rejection still stung. Each echoed in my ears at odd moments of doubt. But I wasn't imagining anymore. I was working. I applied for grants, all long shots. Each application took nights to finish, my narrative teetering between humility and pitch. This is what I want, a place of my own, rooted in the city, flavors of home but not nostalgia. My own story on the plate. Most emails came back polite, apologetic, funds spent, sorry, consider school. Then, by accident, I met Aleda, the sort of person you only learn to notice in a kitchen after you've spent months learning who matters. She was a regular at Jay's, chef white hair in a tight bun, always alone, always ordering off menu. The first time I brought her my special, a seared fish dressed with mango and 5 types of pepper, she smiled. Not the normal customer's smile, but something sharper, considering. She left her card, along with an unmissed tip the size of my normal night's pay. The card was matte black. 6 months later, after 3 coffee meetings and 1 disastrous home-cooked dinner, she agreed to back me. Not with the bankroll of a TV chef, but with the credibility to get my foot in the door with a few investors who liked new things almost as much as they liked being the first to brag about it. She gave me more. She pushed, forced me to clarify what I wanted, who I was. Opening in LA should be impossible. Permits, codes, construction all feel designed to wear you down into dust. I wrestled with city inspectors, navigated lines at the permit window that felt longer than the lines at the DMV. I called in old favors, paid donut bribes. The space I found was a former laundromat on a busy corner, still smelling faintly of bleach. I kept the sign, Lavanderia, and added my name underneath in hard, bright copper script. Construction dragged on. I learned the difference between courage and stupidity the week the kitchen's hood vent wouldn't fit, and we all argued in 4 languages. I worked catering events and pop-ups to keep afloat. Ready or not, opening night came, and I painted the last trim with my own 2 hands. Aletta brought champagne. Jay brought my favorite vintage colander as a talisman. Stepping into my own dining room, new and glimmering with candles, was terrifying. But the food, my food pulled from late nights, tasting of home and imagination, and sometimes living room ramen, finally had space to breathe. They didn't come at first. I sent invites to family, cardstock, hand-sealed, the way my mother sent invitations for my cousins' weddings. Silence. But the LA Times came. My first review was not a love letter, a little too precious, not enough discipline, but it was honest, and it filled the Saturday tables. People came and word spread. Dishes started drifting back with less and less left on the plates. On a bright April morning, 10 months into opening, my mother called. "We want to come," she said, the words so soft I almost didn't catch them. "If you'd like." She didn't say your father doesn't trust this. She didn't say your aunt saw the review and wants to know if it's true. I wanted to laugh and sob at the same time. Instead, I said, "I'd like that. Let me book you a table."